What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Double Coverage. We hope you're still living, loving, and breathing sport. I'm your boy Dom, and I'm with the great man Saucy. He's pumped. Have a look at him. We're ready to go.
We
We're
are
ready to
ready, Domma. It has
go. Oh,
been
mate.
a huge week in sport.
Oh, it just keeps getting better and better.
It's getting
Honestly,
better
mate.
and better.
Oh,
The
cannot wait.
playoffs are in full flow. Some of the biggest news coming out of the transfer scene
Oh,
we've ever seen.
I'll tell you what. We're so
Action.
happy that we will talk about Messi again when we get to the sport news, but Sauce and I were praying, we're hoping, we're like, please something drop just before the show. And I'll tell you what, we've got some juicy detail. We got figures. What's happening? The world's gone mad. Anyway, we've got obviously we're going to go through the playoffs to start. Obviously, we've got our sport news around the world. Then we've got a bit to talk about in hobby talk, and then Sauceys Smokey this week is a card that Sauce and I both jumped on. So we've got a bit of
big discussion throughout the week between you and I. Something that we think we're onto here. We've observed.
Honestly,
we don't want to sell. We
don't want to talk about
Smokey segment. Let me tell you.
We're not talking this one up, ladies and gents. This is genuinely we can't comprehend it, but you'll see when we get to it. Let's get straight into it, Laws. Let's get into the playoff review of what's been happening. We had a bit of a hiatus for a couple of days due to some issues revolving the NBA. We're glad that they've been able to resolve that and they've been able to get back on the court. Mate, let's just do some quick recaps. Portland Lakers to start it off. We'll start with the West. Obviously, Lillard flew home. Knee issues, understandable. But Lakers were too good, mate. LeBron and AD, it looked like they were just in cruise control. They really didn't even try. Really. Like, their defense was terrible at times, but they just put in autopilot and they cruised home to victory. And
yeah, we spoke about it, Domma. You know, first game, they came out, obviously lost that game, shot woefully from three, and still barely lost that game. But once they were able to put it together, guys have now started to hit shots. We're seeing guys getting in rhythm. Teams' chemistry is looking a lot better. And we just, I don't know whether, you've seen a few people on social media like they like to do. They like to see the king fail. But
everyone
once again,
likes to see that. The
king proved them wrong.
Never going to get that on this show.
14-0 in the first round of the playoffs. Thank you very much. Look, once LeBron came out and brought playoff Bron, what we know he's capable of, we look like a completely different team. He went downhill, attacked the basket, once again made the right plays, gave his guys opportunities to hit shots, and guys started to hit shots. Had KCP had a good game. One of the guys hit 16 points. And you had Danny Green, even though he wasn't shooting it the best, he was able to hit a few threes, and now he looks like he's got his rhythm back, towards the end of this series. This is all great and leading into the next series because I think whoever we face out of the two teams, OKC or Houston, Lakers will lay the absolute smackdown on them regardless. I just think both those teams are subpar to the Lakers.
Well, the positive thing, if you're a Lakers fan, is Davis has really shown some fight in this series.
Yeah.
Like, he's got a couple of big guys on him, like Nurkic and Whiteside, and he really has shown the dog within. Like, he had a down game. I think it was like game 3, but he still shot in the 20s. His field goal percentage was terrible, but he still was able to get buckets, and he was aggressive. That's what we said. He needs to be aggressive.
There was one
game. If he's putting up 40... and LeBron's putting up 30, mate, the game's pretty much done. Like, you just got to get your role players to get their shots. And, well, you say that, 40 and 30, but LeBron's going to have 10 assists, so that's another 20 points. That's already 90 points a night.
And there was in game 4, there was just some moments there that I love from AD and what he was able to bring. It was just, and they were the hustle plays. He drove hard to the ring and finished two hands emphatically. wasn't settling for too many jumpers and was looking to get to the free throw line. I think he lived at the free throw line a lot through that series. I'm not exactly sure what he averaged on the free throw line. We'll get some stats up for you, but the guy just seemed like he continually was at the free throw line. You know, I got on him for not stepping up in the fourth quarter, and it seems as though he was able to do that.
Stepping up.
Albeit as I've said, if the Lakers played to their potential, they were able to actually blow out some of those games by the fourth quarter, you know, going into fourth with 10, 15-point leads and able to see that through, which is good to see. Just up and up, man. I like what I see.
Definitely
you know,
good.
obviously critical on the Lakers when they're not making shots, and anyone who shoots below 20% from three in the NBA is always going to struggle. But once they're able to fix that up,
they've been really
gentlemen, we're a top 5 defensive team. Thank you very much, and we showed it. They were our
100%.
best. I don't want to say our because I'm a Lakers man, so damn straight. I'm on bronze back too.
Oh, you just wait till we get to the East. I've got a bit to say, don't worry.
Because the next face of the league isn't going to be much of a pace the way he's going at the moment.
No, he's not.
His,
but no, you're being good on. You're being good.
We've been good, man.
In the next series as well. So, which is a positive. The last thing I'll touch on in that series is obviously the talks about re-signing Mallow. I think it's a given. They should re-sign Mallow. He's been so good, and he stepped up in this series. Like when they needed him to, he didn't spud it up. Like take terrible shots. He took his shots. He pick and chose when to take them, but he literally put them on his back in a couple games. You know, when Lillard was struggling, when Lakers threw a couple double teams, like he stood up. McCollum did too, but that's what you want. Your third option, Mallow, standing up.
One thing
that's a positive.
I do want to touch on, and you know, obviously we're speaking about the Lakers because they're advancing, the Lakers. But where do you see Portland and their road forward, Domma? Do they keep going down with this team, or do you think they need to make a few changes in the off season?
It's a good question.
Because you know, obviously they got there. They got there last year, the Western Conference Finals, and obviously they had a lot of injuries this year. So, do you give it another year for this team to potentially make a run in that?
I give it a year.
Conference?
I give it a year, but if they can get some value out of Collins, because you can't stay healthy. If you can stay healthy, like that's an added bonus to the team. But I don't know if there's room for the 3 bigs in that side, in Whiteside, Collins, and Nurkic. I understand the Lakers are built like that, but they got some. They probably need more depth at the bench. Gary Trent's pretty good. Bazonia's not bad, but they probably need another bench shooter because Whiteside comes off the bench as well. But I'm convinced like McCollum's good as a 2, but he's not like a strong 2 as well. He's a bit like Middleton. He has too many off games, but he does step up in playoffs. That's the difference. Like
I'm telling you where the problem lies, Domma, and this is just where I say I just think the defense is not. It's not getting better. It's not getting better. So
Ariza wasn't there either. You got to remember that. It's a good defensive player.
It's a good defensive play, but you can't blame all that on the last 2 years. And like I always like to say, defense matters in the playoffs.
100%. And that was evident today in the Denver-Utah game. We'll get to that quickly after Clippers Portland. Clippers Dallas. Too good in the end. Porzingis not being there actually really hurt them as this like another guy that can go out and consistently get you 20 plus. I know your feelings on it. I don't know if it's feelings towards Porzingis or it's more feelings towards the organization about the way
the organization, the way they just handled the whole thing, mate. You've got a meniscus tear. Just say you've got a meniscus tear. Don't try to dupe the opposition and say, "Oh, you might be playing, you might not be playing." You got a meniscus tear. Just call it how it is.
That's it. But Kawhi was really, really, really good in the series. Obviously, Luka, there's no oversight into that. He was great. But as the main guy on the team, he's consistent. He averaged 32 for the series, Kawhi. He was just there when they needed the bucket. Like we keep saying, he's the best get-a-bucket guy. Like
Mr. Get-a-Bucket, Mr. Mid-Range.
Yeah, when
that mid-range game, people sleeping on it.
It's underrated. But yeah, they're going to move on, and they will now play the next game that we'll cover, which is Denver and Utah. Today was Game 7. Came down to a rim out on the last shot to secure the win for Denver. Man, what defense was played in that second half. It was incredible.
Great defense.
Utah's comeback was great as well. It was just so much in it. The series was fantastic as a get-go. Like 7 games, but it wasn't like so one-sided. Like you had guys dropping 50 in games, and it was incredible.
It was a great series. This is what we love to see. We like the games to go there, like series go to seven games because it's as you can see, it was a free flow scoring series. Come Game 7, what mattered most, Domma? As I keep saying, what mattered most?
Defense, your boy.
Defense. And my boy Gary Harris that I called about. I said he makes a big difference when he's in that team. And anyone going to go watch that game today, or you haven't seen it, down the stretch, he made a key defensive play.
He was good.
Massive defensive play.
Really
knocked
good.
The ball out of Donovan Mitchell's hands, forcing someone else to take the game-winning shot, which is what you can ask for. You got to ask for. You can't let the guys be tearing you up all season to beat you, force the other guys to beat you. And they did that today. They locked him down. I think he scored 2 or 4 points in the first half or something like that. Boy, I checked at 5 minutes to go in the second quarter. He had 2 points, and he only ended up with 20 points. Like in the second half, he came out a different man. He shut down Murray, and I actually sent a tweet out on our socials saying, Spider Mitchell looking like Spider Mitchell at the moment because he's
when you get locked down like that by a great
defender,
that's what happens. It's nothing on Mitchell. It's just. Not for anything. He hasn't had a guy like that thrown at him for the whole series, except for the last 2 games.
That's right, and he made a big
difference.
And
we said he's going to make the difference. Like, don't expect him to go out and shoot 50 when he's playing. And did he shoot 50? No. So, elite defenders do that to elite players. They can shut them down. They just know what to do.
Albeit last game he still had 44 when Gary Harris, but he was able to influence and make plays there. And today he was really able to shut him down. But I will give it to Mitchell, and I did send another tweet out at the end of the game. Props to Mitchell. He went in there at halftime, and he came out a different player. And he seemed he had to do stuff that wasn't on the offensive end, and he dug in deep, and defensively he shut down Jamal Murray. Without a doubt, I'm not going to call how I see it. He shut down Jamal Murray in the second half and kept him very, very quiet and gave his team a chance to win the game because at the end of the day, it was a rimmed out shot. The ball was halfway down the cylinder, Tom, and it rimmed out. So, it's a game of inches. It's a game of inches, but what a series. It was a great series.
So good to watch.
And I think this next series between Denver and
Clippers
is going to be an absolute ripper, man. It's going to be a ripper. Well. I think Jokic is going to give Zubac and those bigs an absolute bar. Montrezl Harrell's not going to be able to handle Jokic because Jokic has got that range and then he's got that.
Gobert was very good in this series as well. So
Gobert was good and Gobert's reigning he's defensive player of the year multiple times. Great defender. Man, you're not going to come up with much better defense than Rudy Gobert. And he was able to give it to Rudy Gobert today. He actually played well. I think he scored 25.
He was down the stretch. It was unbelievable.
And he got some absolute key buckets at the end there where he put moves and pivots and turns on Gobert, had him in spin cycles, and he was able to finish over the top with just cute little baby hooks. He's got so much touch, Jokic. He's got so much touch.
Oh, he's so good.
And credit to the coach, I will say, because he was able to use Plumlee, switch him and Jokic in and out the end game situation where obviously Plumlee's a lot better on defense because he moves his feet a lot better than Jokic. Hey, it worked for him.
It worked. So, it's good adjustment by
It's
Malone.
good adjustments, man. It's great coaching. Great coaching.
But Denver was the first team since Cleveland in 2016 to come back from 3-1 down in a final series. So that's unbelievable. So good stuff for them.
Keeps the bracket alive.
Keeps the bracket alive. It does. And the last thing is, we can touch on it, but when the refs put the whistle away, and they don't call stupid cheap fouls, and it's more free flowing as a game, you really see how intense it becomes when two teams have scored under 85 points. It becomes like a defensive, just a battle, because they're both really good defensive teams. So
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, it was unbelievable to watch. If you
was
haven't
good.
seen the second half, just watch the whole game. The whole game was great. But
I mean,
props to
Utah, they
Denver.
fought back. They were down at the half, so they fought back well.
Yeah, no, it was good. Really
It was
good
a great
series.
series. Just
I'm looking
overall,
forward.
great series.
Yeah,
Donovan Mitchell looked absolutely shattered at the end there, but if I
Yeah.
was him, I wouldn't be shattered, man, because
no, it
he's
was
still young.
unbelievable.
And I think, as we said, they would struggle a bit without their second leading top scorer in Bogdanovic. And I think they're getting back next season, and they maybe
They're gonna
bring in
be good.
another one or two guy. They're going to be able to contend in that West. They should be able to
100%.
make the playoffs.
Quinn Schneider's a great coach as well, which helps.
Yeah.
So, looking forward to the next
They'll be
series
up and
though,
about.
with Denver and Clippers. Last one we'll touch on is obviously tomorrow, Game 7. I think this is the one we're looking forward to the most, mate.
The one that's going to divide the mates here. I'm on Houston. You're on OKC. But what I will say is what's been proven is when Westbrook comes to the playoffs, he turns into West Brick. The man turns into a brick.
He was terrible. He was terrible. But looking forward to this. I know I want my bracket to stay alive, but I know, Sauce, as much as you put Houston through, I know you actually kind of want your bracket to kind of fail. I know deep down inside, you don't want Houston winning. Just for the fact.
It's just for the fact, man. I just can't see how they just live and die by the 3 ball. And that's it. They live and die by the 3 ball. They do not do. What are they going to do against? They come up against the Lakers in the next round. That actually has 2 big guys on the defensive end. They're literally not going to be able to
honestly
drive it into the lane. So it's live and die by the 3 ball. That's it, because they don't shoot mid range. They don't shoot mid range.
Yeah, the way that Davis is playing at the moment, they could. And the last time they played, they beat Lakers, but LeBron didn't play. He sat out that game. The way LeBron and AD are playing together at the moment, they could slap Houston. It could potentially be a sweep. Let's not over-exaggerate. Let's look at it logically now.
PJ Tucker the 5, Covington the 4. Any of those 2 guys that are on Anthony Davis, he's going to put them in an absolute barbecue.
Mate, they're
go to work.
Houston are having fits with Steven Adams and fouling Steven Adams, and he's like a really good aggressive player, but he's got no post game like what Anthony Davis, or mid-range game like Anthony Davis does.
That's right.
But they're fouling him. PJ Tucker got into foul trouble a couple games.
And but if we play our small ball lineup, LeBron will be playing the 4. What, you're going to have Covington guarding LeBron? You're just going to back him down and just take him into the lane every time. Covington can't guard LeBron James. Sorry. He's going to just dominate him. And the only guy that can guard him is probably Tucker, because he's a bit stronger, a bit bigger body. But then you got Covington on AD. Like, the matchups are just the nightmare, the way they're going to continue to play this small ball lineup. And if they say, they're just going to live and die by the 3. But what's happening now when you play West Brick, a guy who's at the moment, this season, is actually shooting at 25% from 3. So essentially, you've got another guy who can't shoot 3. You better off playing Lucindo Dort, because at least he's better defender than Westbrook, right? He's shooting it as good as him. You live and die by the 3. Westbrook's going to be getting challenged at the ring by McGee, Howard. Anyway, let's stop talking about this, because we're talking like Houston's gone through. I don't like this, because OKC, your boys, they've actually got a chance, and I'm not writing them off, mate. CP3, the most clutch minutes this season in clutch time.
Let's get back onto that quickly. I know we got a bit sidetracked, because we're thinking about what's going to happen if they do get through. But Oklahoma, it would not surprise me in the slightest that, I know we've discussed this a fair bit, but young kids on a team, when the spark gets lit and they know they have a chance of winning, like, it's either they can shit the bed because there's so much pressure and it's a Game 7, or they could go out there tomorrow and play and leave everything out on the court and have the best game of their life and win it. And literally, if I'm an Oklahoma City fan, like, if you make it through and you play the Lakers, I know you want to win, But even if you get killed in that series, the fact that you had 0.3 of a percentage of a chance to make the playoffs and everyone wrote you off, me included, before the season started, anyone out there that says, oh, no, I thought they'd make it because they got Chris Paul, give me a spell. You all wrote off Oklahoma. Don't try and run the bandwagon now and say, oh, no, I knew they would make it. No, you didn't. The West
Only
is that
Kendrick
good.
Perkins. And he's actually on record.
Yeah, he actually did. But yeah, that's fair enough. Well, there you go. One person. But honestly, no one thought this was going to happen. As a supporter, if you win this series and you're knocking out a potential favorite, like I would take that as your championship. If you beat the Lakers, why would you beat the Lakers?
I'm going to agree with Stephen A. Smith on this point. I shared it up on our social. Stephen A. Smith went off on First Take saying if they lose to the OKC Thunder, D'Antoni is out of that organisation. Mate, and I have to agree with him. He has to.
No, yeah, I understand that. I agree with that. But Daryl Morey, the owner, is the owner or the GM, has to have a good hard look in the mirror as well, because he's been on record on the Herd saying, oh, we built this team to beat the Warriors, and we all look at analytics, and obviously the analytics tell you that shooting threes and making more threes win your games, because obviously you score more points if you shoot more threes. But he's got to have a good hard look in the mirror, and honestly, that Capella trade potentially could have hurt them. Just remember, ladies and gents, we said it last week, the reason that trade was made was to help, to accommodate Westbrook, because you could not play in that system with a guy clogging the lane, a big guy for him. And you've got a guy, I understand it's like, oh yeah, but it's Westbrook, he's a good player. Well, you know what? I'm sorry. He stunk it up in the last game. He effectively cost you the game. I know he's a great player. I'm not trying to kill him, but you're trying to say, we live and die by the three and layups. I understand he's good at layups, but he's a terrible 3-point shooter. But Capella's what you needed. You do need a rim protector in a team. Defense is it's like when you talk about basketball, defense is non-existent anymore. So
I'm gonna just read these out now. I haven't fact checked these, but I wouldn't be surprised. I really should fact check these before I read these out, but I'm not gonna fact check it. I'm gonna trust it out. This is someone posted a comment. The comment goes like this. I read this on Instagram. I had to screenshot it. The overrated career of Russell Westbrook has played 17 full playoff series and shot below 40% in 9 of those. His last 5 playoff series, 2016 Western Conference Finals, 37% from the field, 4.5 turnovers. 2016 Western Conference, the first one was Western Conference semifinals. Then Western Conference Final, 2016, 39% and 4.4 turnovers. You got 2017 is first round, 38% from the field and 6 turnovers the average. 2018 first round, 39% from the field and 5 turnovers. 2019, 36% from the field and 4.8 turnovers. This is where it gets interesting. Has played in 8 elimination games in his career in which he has shot 7 from 20, 11 from 28, 4 from 20, 8 from 23, 7 from 21, 15 from 34, 18 from 43, and 11 from 31. In total, that's 81 of 220, which is 36.8%. Has never been past the first round without KD, which we don't know still. Still not past the first round without KD. And then it just goes on to drilling, man. It says, he was outplayed by Manu Ginobili in 2012, whatever. But it's more those ones, right?
He's just been killed.
Just crazy. Just honestly crazy. And I want to know what's happening.
He's a great player. He's a good player. We're not saying he's a terrible player. He's just not a great playoffs player. As simple as that. But the facts are there. Come on.
It's just not good in the playoffs, man. Even though he's average numbers this year, when it comes to the playoffs, the guy, he just turns into a brick, man. He literally is the greatest regular season player of all time. I'm going to put that out there. He's great in the regular season. Come playoffs, the man's a brick.
Triple-double. Anyway, let's move on from this crap. Buddy, come on, Oklahoma.
Your boys are in with a chance.
I said it in the review. Hey, I haven't piped up and said anything. It's 3-3, but I did say, shut me up, Houston. This is your opportunity. Because I tell you what,
Game 7, anything can happen.
if
Game
you
7,
lose
anything can happen.
tomorrow, you lose tomorrow, or you don't win convincingly, I don't care if you win the series. Yeah, you prove me wrong. But if you don't win, tell you what, I'm not going to stay silent. I'll tell you that much. If you lose tomorrow,
Game 7, anything can happen, Domma. Game 7,
anything can happen. So
all right, let's move on.
Move to the east. Toronto, Boston. Toronto's down 2-0. They just look terrible so far. Well, they looked all right today. It's just Marcus Smart got hot and he dropped 5 threes in the last quarter. Ended up losing the game. It just...
What did I say, Domma? I said when it came down to the tougher games, and we've seen them getting through the first round. I said when it comes down to the tougher games, you get the better side. You need that guy to get a bucket. Sorry, but Pascal Siakam ain't that guy at the moment. Maybe he's developing into that guy. Still a bit young, but you don't have that guy anymore. And it showed today. Obviously, in the first game, they got severely outplayed. They deserved to get beaten. Anyone watch that game? Boston was just better throughout the whole game. Today, they played a lot better, but came the fourth quarter when, obviously, Marcus Smart started hitting shots.
Yeah, he got hot.
He got hot. But this is the playoffs, and this is the NBA, and it's basketball. It's a team sport. Guys are going to get hot. Guys are going to make plays.
Exactly right.
You need guys to step up in the playoffs, and there's just some guys out there that just live for these moments. They just get better, and they just want to step up.
Yeah.
So there's nothing not going to hold anything against Marcus Smart. Yeah, he's not the best three-point shooter, but hey, when you've hit 3 in a row, you can't go let him hit another 2 in the quarter. You have to start closing him out. Yeah. So
exactly.
Where's the defense on that? Maybe he shouldn't have had an extra 2 in that quarter.
Yeah.
Well, and one of them, I think they fouled him on, gave him a 4-point play, and he drained it.
Yeah, I think they did. I just got one thing, and I'm going to call him out. I'm going to call out Nick Nurse to the Raptors. You can't lose a game like that. I understand it's heartbreaking and there's emotions, but you're the head coach of a ball club. Don't make it about the officiating and saying that, like, Jason Tatum got treated more favorably, and that's why he went to the line. You got killed in the last quarter. Let's be honest. A guy that you've got no respect on his three-point game, and no one does have respect on it. I understand that because he's not a good three-point shooter. He hit 5 threes on you. You got beaten. Unfortunately, basketball is a game of runs. It's how you adjust to the run to win the game. You got beaten fair and square. Don't go blaming officiating. So you got to pull your head in for the next game, and hopefully you come out there and you can try and get one back. Because they're good enough to do it. The Raptors are good enough to do it. They're just making a few errors and stuff. And he's a great coach, Nick Nurse. So he'll be able to make the adjustments. But don't go blaming officiating. That's just rubbish. I'm sorry, that's just rubbish. Let's move on.
So that's soft.
Yeah, let's move on to the. Well, you're going to talk last here because I know you got a bit to say. But I'm just going to say I should have wore the jersey this week. Jimmy Buckets.
Your boy.
Bucket. Oh my! I was losing my marbles during this game. I know I picked Milwaukee in my bracket. I don't care about my bracket. If Miami beats them, I'll be celebrating. And you might be, oh, you're a hypocrite. You didn't pick your team. Well, no one would have picked Miami. You think Milwaukee? Just put it this way: halftime, social media was blowing up. Oh, Chris Middleton's back. He's dominating. He's got 21 at the half. When the game counts and you shoot 7 in the second half, you just prove me and Sauce right every single week. You can't have 21. Giannis was struggling, struggling. And you put up 7 points. At one stage, it was 2 for 10 in the second half. Come on. Literally, Sauce, I swear to you, I know we give hot takes, but all these players are doing when we're not bad, we're just critiquing their game. All they're doing is just proving us right at the moment. No one's proved us wrong.
Yeah.
Only Houston will prove me wrong tomorrow if they win. But if they don't, I'm proven right again. And so, come on, Chris. And another guy, I'm going to even get in on bloody Brook Lopez. He had 19 at halftime, and he finished with 25. Come on. Your best player's struggling. You got to pick up the load. Come on. But in saying that, the Heat were good. that was a game to steal because they didn't really shoot that well. They were struggling at stages and they worked themselves back in. But as we said, another thing about Miami, Duncan Robinson, he struggled. Jay Crowder's not really known for hitting like the three a lot. He stepped up. He shot 3 of 7 from downtown. And then Tyler Hero stepped up. This is the problem with Miami, and this is why they cause headaches. When one shooter's not hot, another shooter is. Like, that's where you got to be really like you got to be prepared for that. Like that's literally the kryptonite to Miami is if you shut down their shooting, and it's hard because they got so many on there. I'm just happy. Like Buckets is just putting on a clinic at the moment. Props to you, Jimmy.
The Bucks give up the most 3-point shots. You mentioned this in the earlier pod. They actually did well in 3-point defense. They kept used to under 40%. They shot 45%, but I wouldn't call giving up 42 points in the paint great defense, Dom.
No, their interior was disgraceful, but their perimeter D was really good. I was watching some of their stops, and I was like, "Wow, this is really good." But
they can't allow you to waltz in there and give up that much in the paint, because if they continue to do that, that's fine. You'll keep taking those. But then what's going to happen eventually? There's going to be a change of focus when they keep leaking too many interior points, and they're going to overcompensate on the interior, and that's going to leave your shooters, who we know are good, way open on the outside to have wide open looks. And you've got guys that can hit them, like Robertson. The guy can literally get hot. Like I can see him literally hitting 5 in a quarter. Hero can do the same thing. Drake Crowder's no slouch on the 3-point ball.
Yeah.
So
be so careful.
One thing, Jimmy Buckets, the guy hasn't been shooting many jump shots and threes. He's been taking a buck, but man, when the game was on the line, he needs to step up, man. Give the guy the ball.
Jimmy Buckets. What did Jimmy Buckets say? They told Jimmy Buckets, "Do you want your family in the bubble?" And Jimmy Buckets said, "No, I don't want no family. I'm here on a business trip. I'm here to win." Like,
business.
He does not care.
Business.
Buckets. I said this to Sauce. I don't know if people agree. Send us comments or DM us. But honestly, Buckets has the same mentality like Kobe and Jordan, as in like relentless. Like people think, oh, he's a head case, whatever. But training-wise and game, he's just relentless. He just wants to win.
He's there hours before other guys shooting shots.
Yeah, he's not
as there gifted after they leave.
Yeah, he's not as gifted as Kobe and Jordan, but he puts in the effort.
He's got the mentality.
He's got all that stuff. He's just
the Mamba mentality.
He's just a killer. He just wants to go out there and beat teams. He doesn't care what it takes. Like he said,
interesting thing, Domma. I'll say, did you hear the comment when the reporter asked Giannis why you didn't switch out and go Jimmy Butler down the stretch there?
I'll tell you what I'm doing right now. I'm just flipping it straight to you because we love Giannis. We absolutely love him, mate.
I love Giannis.
If you think we hate him,
I like him. I think he's, obviously people are pushing him to be the face of the league.
Here. Go, Saucy. Give him your take. I tell you, you're not wrong.
But all I'm going to bring it back to is, right, first of all, I'll make the first point, like I said, he said, I'll do whatever the coach wants me to do. And the reporter asked him about, how come you didn't switch out and guard Jimmy Butler? Sorry, that is a piss weak answer. The guy was absolutely tearing you up in the last quarter. You are the best player on that team. All that the Miami Heat were doing were running motion offense, getting the switch on George Hill, and Butler just went to work on the guy repeatless times. Multiple times in that last quarter, he literally put George Hill on a barbecue and cooked him. Right? That's where your best player is going to go, nah, we're not switching this. We're fighting this screen. And we step out and we get the stops. That's one thing. My second thing, how long, this is my serious question, how long could Giannis keep going in his career and not develop a mid-range game? Look at the guy's arms. Look at his length. The guy could have the same ability as Kevin Durant. Switch on defense, pick and roll, get the switch, smaller guy on you, dribble him, back him up a few steps because you've got that elite ability to go past him either way with that length back him up, and just pull up and jump shot over the top of him from 15 feet, 17 feet. All right, your 3-point ball's at 33%, 32%, the best it's been in his career.
That's
and
good.
He has been shooting the three good. He actually shot
three. He shot 3 in the first game.
Right. But this is what I'm saying. The mid-range game, people keep sleeping on it. You see Kawhi, where does he go to? He needs a bucket. Goes to the mid-range.
But this is
Jimmy Buckets, where did he go when he needed a bucket? Dribbled to the mid-range and said, you know what, I'm just going to pull up over the top of you and raise up and drain it.
Yeah, why is it when we need a bucket or we'll take the low percentage shot, it's a 3-pointer?
You know, mid-range, down the stretch, your mid-range game, you've got to step. It's either get to the bucket or bust with Giannis. It's get to the bucket or bust, because he's rarely, obviously doing a dribble move, pull, step back 3 or something of that nature. It's get to the bucket or bust. That's it. The guy doesn't have a mid-range game. The guy doesn't even have a back to the basket game where he's got a little turnaround jump hook, or he's got a little turnaround fadeaway, or he's got something. It's literally turn around, face up, get by him, finish at the rim, or turn around, try to get by him, get to the free throw line. Mind you, where he shot absolutely terrible.
Their free throws were very bad in that game, but I think they'll tighten it up. I genuinely
they're
think
a good free throw shooting team from what
they are. I genuinely reckon Giannis will come out firing tomorrow. I genuinely do have that feeling. But
I just want to see him develop a mid-range game, man. Like, just understand it's so underrated, especially with your length and your ability to rise up, literally turn around, face a guy up with a live dribble on the triple threat position where you've got him on the block, and just jab step him. He backs up 1 or 2 and just rise up and shoot.
He's got the ability to be.
You've got the ability to turn
even
into
better
the
than
best
what he
player.
is now.
Better. Like, he's already great, but somewhat makes me think he's a little bit overrated. You're an NBA basketball player. You're now 25. You've been in the league for how long? It's been in the league for 5 years. Where's your mid-range jump shot? Sorry, but all the great players over time, you have a look at Kobe, he lived in the mid-range. You have a look at Jordan, lived in the mid-range. Have a look at Kawhi, lives in the mid-range. Buckets, you're not a great player, but I'm saying when guys need buckets, they go to the mid-range. I don't know. We could look into it more, but I'm sure over time you've got these guys that just get to their spot, raise up.
Yeah. I agree.
Look,
I think
LeBron didn't really have a back to the basket game for a while. He developed it, man. It's something you've got to bring into your game. You've got to be able to hit that mid-range. He's got to work on it, man. Because if he can start doing that, when they start putting that wall in front of him, like what they've been doing, well, you just back him up a bit and pull it up from the free throw line. I agree with you. When he's going steam, full at him, they're backing up, creating a wall, which is what they do. And then they're obviously trying to get guys to hit the threes.
He can literally just stop and pull up, and then they'll be freaking 1.5 meters away, and he just, like you said, he just drain it from wherever he is.
And if he can start doing that, then
they can't. Unstoppable.
They can't. You'll be unstoppable. They
can't double teams. They'll be triple teaming guys like that because
stop focusing on the 3 and start focusing on your mid-range, Giannis, because you at the moment you're to the hoop or you're a bust. It's either get it to the rack or bust.
Bang. You've spoken. Sauceys spoken. All right, we're moving on. Coming up next, we've got our sport news around the globe. So stay tuned. All men have 2 versions of themselves. The one that you are now and the inspired version of yourself that is hiding deep down inside. My mission for the podcast is help men break through their limitations and become their most inspired version. The Inspired Man, a podcast from Andrew Soteropoulos. Alrighty, welcome back. Here we go. Some sport news. Start with the AFL. Saucy, I know you watched a few games. I genuinely only caught 1 game, and it was putrid. So it was my North Melbourne Kangaroos, which snuck it up. That was hard to watch. But the games were, if you want to make comments, Sauce, just let me know. We'll just get through these. Hawthorn 71, defeated by the Dons 87. Richmond defeated West Coast 88-61. Dog 61, defeated by the Cats 72. Port 73, defeated Sydney 47. Freo 83, defeated by the Giants 91. Melbourne 52, defeated by Saints 49. Carlton 48, defeated by the Pies 72. The Gold Coast Suns 91 slapped my North Melbourne Kangaroos 23, which, yeah, not great. Not great from North boys, but I'm not going to get into that too much because we've got a young list. We've got a lot of injuries. So I'm just looking forward to next year and really just blooding our kids. But interesting one, Richmond West Coast. I think that really just was the standout. Two best teams in the comp. A lot of people gave Richmond flack. They said, oh, well, West Coast lost Kennedy, but I think it's a 1-for-1. They lost Kennedy and Richmond lost Grimes. So it's a much of a muchness there. Really, we keep saying it. Richmond, unless they have an off game, that's the only way they're losing. That's the only way they're losing.
They are the team to beat. I don't care what you say. They've looked like they're putting the pieces together at the moment.
Yeah. And I'm saying an off game for them. You're not outplaying that team. They are that good. Like, when they turn it on to fifth gear, it's fifth gear. They don't. It's unbelievable how they just sustain pressure and literally not just pressure on the defense, but the offense pressure that they apply on teams where they just keep attacking relentlessly to make good teams defend for their life is just unbelievable. I don't know how they do it. It's just they've got some great players and they haven't even got their full squad. They still haven't got their full squad. So their depth is just unbelievable. Their depth is great. That's what teams that are literally form a dynasty have, depth. And they can just rinse and repeat different players in and out. Like a guy gets injured, another guy comes in because they got a great system and just it's like they just run like clockwork down there. The Lions had the bye, didn't they? Yeah. Well, at least they kick straight this week, Sauce.
Oh, they're not doing nothing, mate. I'm telling you. The way they kick the football, that's we're not going to get anywhere. I will mention, notable mention, Joey Danaher, first game back, Hawthorn, Essendon, after Hawthorn jumped the Dons in the first half. And I actually texted you, I'm like, oh, geez, Essendon's playing putrid. We came out like an absolute different side in the second half. And it was a great comeback. But, you know, it really just shows where Hawthorn are at. Because obviously they've gone. And ladies and gentlemen, they've given Adelaide their first win, which we said multiple times they will not win a game in the season.
Well,
it shows where Hawthorn are at, and I think Alistair Clarkson and the committee down there need to wake up to themselves and realise that they are truly in a rebuilding phase and not in a limbo stage where they think they could potentially get to 8th, 9th and stuff They are in a rebuilding phase. Some of those players are on the back end and on the way out. Obviously, they've brought in Scully. He really hasn't done that much. He's probably on the back end of his career. And some of those other guys, obviously, Jonathan Patton injured again, trying to revitalise his career. Poor bloke. But, yeah, it just shows where Hawthorn is at. But then, obviously, Essendon shows where we're at when we've come up against West Coast just yesterday. And gotten beaten. Not very good at all.
Round 15 has started, and Hawthorn were defeated by the Crows 48-83, and West Coast defeated your Bombers 60-45. But we will do our tips. I know Richmond and Freo are currently playing, but Sauce and I both would have picked Richmond for that game, so there's no issues there. We'll go through.
I will mention the Bulldogs and Geelong game. I did watch that game. It was a really, really, really good game. Doggies came out firing, and you've got to say, look, the Doggies, they're a decent side. If they didn't get those injuries in that game, they could have won that game. They got out to a great lead. True injuries obviously hurt you as the game went on. You could see that Geelong were running out the game a lot better, and they were able to get themselves back into it and turn it around and get the W. Man, I'll just bring it back to. I just think this is really a 3-horse race. It's either Geelong, West Coast, or 4-horse race. We'll throw Port in there, but still, I'm still not convinced on Port. I still think they're a bit soft. So
honestly,
I'm leaning 3-horse race, West Coast, Geelong, and Richmond. But
you're being generous.
Richmond right at the top.
You are actually being generous. I genuinely think it's West Coast and Richmond. I reckon Geelong are the biggest pretenders. They do this at the same time every single year, and then they stink it. But they might prove me wrong. But I genuinely reckon they're pretenders.
Look, I hope they do it right because I'm liking the way that Tommy Hawkins is playing. The big forwards.
I like that too. I love the Cats.
Look, when they're up and going, they're good. But it brings it back down to this, which happens all the time when it gets to the crunch. When it gets to the crunch time, and these guys that they say are taking the next level, the Menegolas, the Duncans, those other blokes down there, Guthrie and whatever, comes to the finals and they stink it up. So
yeah, exactly right.
We'll see what happens this time where these guys, your Brian Myers and guys like that, whether they can actually step up in the finals come this final series.
Exactly right.
Yeah. And one last thing, I'm going to give my team a serve. Essendon Football Club.
Oh, here we go.
Straight up.
Oh, no. We're just serving everyone tonight.
No, I'm going to give them a serve because I heard a stat.
I'll tell you what,
I heard a stat.
Coming up if you're listening.
We are the worst team in the competition for transition goals from our attack to defence to conceding a goal. In an era where it's built on pressure and forward pressure and locking the ball inside your forward 50 for repeat entries, in an era where this is the game. Sorry, but this is the way the game has gone. And it's proven that this gets you wins and gets you victories. We continually, year after year, have some of the worst forward pressure and ability to lock the ball in our forward half in the whole league. We are not going to get anywhere as a club if we don't change. Another note, this was set out to me by my brother actually, who's heard the coaches saying that they don't train for late game situations or end of quarter situations. Sorry, that's not good enough. Against West Coast last night, we conceded two goals in the last minute of a quarter, red time, which shouldn't have been conceded. And essentially, that was the difference in the game. We lost by 15 points, Domma, and that's 2 goals in red time, the last minute of a quarter, where all we had to do was lock it down. One of them, we had possession, and all we had to do was just chip out the clock with an extra 20 seconds, but we turned the ball over in the last 15 seconds. They went in and kicked the goal. Pick up your game, Essendon Football Club. It's absolutely terrible. That Twitter account, I'm going to have to start posting it on double coverage. So I'm find that Twitter account. I'm going to start posting it because I'm getting on their back.
We're going to follow
6,000 days or something it is. 6,000 and something days. Find it up.
I'm going to follow him now.
We're going to start retweeting him out to the people because I'm getting on Essendon Football Club's back. All I wanted us to do this year was to make finals and win a final. Is that so much to ask? I'm not asking you to win the grand final because we ain't got the cattle there. And I'll be honest with you, the way Essendon Football Club's going, we're not going to be winning one for quite a while.
Days since Essendon won a final.
You're
getting a follow here live. It is 5,842 days.
There you go.
We'll even give it a like and a retweet so you can find them on our socials.
We've tweeted him out. We can't believe we're giving this guy a thing, but you know what? I'm getting on their Essendon's back. I'm sick of this shit. They keep saying year after year, they keep going down the road with the same players too. Some of these players who just we aren't getting anywhere with, and we've had them at the club for quite a while. Something has to give. You've got to do something different. I don't know what it is, but what we're doing now isn't working. So work it out.
Sauce has gone bang.
You get paid more money than me to figure it out because the fans are sick of your shit.
Bang. Whack. Like it. Well, now we'll get into some F1 news.
F1.
Positive note now. Positive now, mate. There's some positive stuff. Mate, we've been whacking people. Well, probably so. They deserve a whacking because That's what we do. We like giving our opinions, a bit of hot take. But here we go. Some good news.
Not to mention, we will be putting up our tips on social. We'll do them.
Yeah,
We'll chuck them up. Don't worry. There's a few games that have already getting played through now.
It was great. We had F1 car racing back. Oh, it was so good. Belgian Grand Prix. I don't even need to tell you who won. You know who won.
We know who won.
It was great though. The mid-table stuff was fantastic. Like it was so good to watch. It was not.
Where did our boy Ricardo finish, Domma?
Oh wow, I'm going to get to that. Our boy Ricardo, he was at the Belgian GP. Just a couple things before we do get into it. Both of us are so concerned about Ferrari. It is the first time, not like this season, that neither car have finished in the top 10.
Wow.
Leclerc and Vettel struggled from the get-go. I don't know what's going on down there. No one does. Like, even the BBC reporters are, like, in disbelief watching it. Like, it is just incredible. And as a consumer of motorsport, like, watching that happen, it's tough to watch. They're, like, Ferrari are just podium. That's what you think. Like, or up there, top 4, top 5. They struggled. One of our mates, Carlos Sainz, didn't even get to bloody sit in his car and do the bloody outlap. Exhaust issues cost him his race before it even started for McLaren, which is shattering. And a bit of Lewis Hamilton record news coming through the airwaves. He's just broken another one. He's actually got the most kilometers leading races in the history of Formula One now with 24,287. It is 143 kilometers more than Michael Schumacher in second. So that could easily extend out to 1,000 plus by the end of the season. So
give us the championship lead update.
Here we go. The winners of that race, it was Hamilton, Bottas, and Verstappen were the top 3. And Danny Rick, fourth. I'll tell you what, if there's 2 laps, he would have caught Verstappen. He was flying.
Where did he start on the grid?
Was it 5th? I think.
Okay.
5th.
Not bad.
He was flying.
Look, at least he finished the race. That's a good sign.
He stole the extra World Championship point because he had the fastest lap of the race as well. So he was flying.
So his car's on their way up.
I was flying. It's really good. It's good on the straights, the Renaults, and the next race is at Monza in Italy, and that's the straights there. So expect Renault to do really, really well 2 weeks in a row.
Here we go. Smokey for a top 3 finish in the next one.
His teammate Esteban Ocon finished right behind him in 5th. So Renault finished 4th and 5th, which is great.
Good stuff.
Alex Albon 6th. My boy Lando 7th. I'm spewing again for another driver. If we had 2 more laps, we probably would have had a Ricciardo catching Verstappen. And 2 more laps probably would have seen Norris pass Albon and Ocon. He was 0.4 of a second behind Albon and 0.4 behind Albon and 0.9 behind Ocon. So he was.
What were the strategies, Domma? What were the strategies? 1 stoppers, 2 stoppers? What were they doing?
It was a one stopper. It was only 44 laps, but it was they were doing about 1 minute 40 laps. So a bit longer race. Pierre Gasly finished 8th. Lance Stroll and Perez for Mercedes 2.0 in 9th and 10th. Constructors, Mercedes still up there. They're just 106 points ahead of Red Bull. But then the interesting stuff is here. McLaren 68, Racing Point 66, Ferrari 61, Renault 59. So not much between the middle of the pack, which is good. Honestly, that's all I'm interested in watching so far this season. Unless something ridiculous, like miraculous happens to the Mercedes car and they start to struggle, I'm really looking at the middle of the pack stuff because the racing's been great. It's close every week from literally 4th to 10th. And that's what you want. It's like equalization there. But then obviously Verstappen.
Start to finish, Lewis Hamilton just dominant once again.
World Championship points, Hamilton 47 ahead of Verstappen. Bottas 3 points behind Verstappen on 107. And then it's close again in the middle of the pack. Albon 48, Leclerc 45, Norris 45, Stroll 42, Ricciardo's 33 now, Perez 33, Ocon 26. So that can all fluctuate. But awesome race. It was great. Another Hamilton record. Absolutely zero surprise there. And that's all from me. Monza this week, this Sunday. Italy. Get on it. Let's move on to UFC. Take it away, Saucy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's just get the notes up. Here we go. All right, so we had UFC Fight Night, Smith versus Rakic. I will just go through the results on the main card as I usually do. I don't really dive too much into the preliminary card. We'll start it from the bottom. You had in the featherweight division, Ricardo Lamas versus Billy Aliego, and Ricardo Lamas got the decision. You got in the women flyweight division, you got Ji Yun Kim versus Alexa Grasso. Alexa Grasso got the W in the women flyweight. And then we're moving on to these are the two fights which I'm mostly interested in. So obviously the co-main event and the main event fight. We'll start off with the co-main event, which was in the welterweight division. Robbie Lawler versus Neil Magny. Let me just say, Domma, I watched this fight. Robbie Lawler, 38. Neil Magny, 33. Robbie Lawler, former champion.
Yep.
But I'll just say, Domma, the bloke got absolutely dominated from start to finish. Dominated. Magny came out when the fight was standing, had too much length, too much reach, too much lateral quickness, just looked the better fighter. And then, obviously Lawler tried to, when that was the case, because he had too much length, he was just able to just pick him off, hit him with low kicks, hit him with a few high kicks, pick him off from the outside. So Lawler tried to close the distance because he was lacking in reach. When he did that, Magny was really, really smart, was able to get him in the clinch and actually hit him with a few knees. Was able to clinch his head and pull him down, hit him with a few knees, hold him up against the fence and hit him with a few body shots. And then when Lawler wasn't expecting it, he dropped into the ground and was able to just get on top mount position and ground and pounded him. He just destroyed him. Just destroyed him. Just absolutely destroyed him from start to finish. And he was able to get on top of him and give him ground and pound in all 3 rounds. So when it was on the feet, he looked better. When it went to the ground, he was on top every time. He just mauled him. And I will just say that that jumps Magny 3 spots in the ranking in the welterweight division and jumps him up to where the welterweight division where Kamaru Usman is the champion. That jumps him up to 11th position, so just outside the top 10, whilst Lawler drops 2 spots to 15th. And that just makes me think, how much
he's got
Robbie Lawler's really got legs he's got left in him. 38. He's lost his last 4 fights. He's dropping down the rankings.
Could be on the way out.
He could be on the way out, man. Look, he was a former champ, so props to the guy, but he's getting older. There's guys that are younger and hungrier, so I think this could be, one of the last fights that we see Robbie Lawler. Who knows, man? I think he's past his best, man. He just can't compete with these top guys. And if you're not in there to win the title, what are you in there for? Like, you've lost 4 in a row. You got to be assessing what you're doing, man. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I'll leave that one with him. The next and the main event fight was Alexander Rakic versus Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith actually higher than Rakic on the rankings leading into this one. Let me just tell you, Alexander Rakic absolutely mauled Anthony Smith. Mauled him. He dropped him in the first round. Let me just go out by saying Alexander Rakic came out and just interesting approach to the fight. Started hitting with low kicks, good plan, mixing it up, punching, kicking. But let me just tell you, these low kicks, some of the sound I was hearing coming off the guy's leg, I was hurting behind watching it. I was hearing the compact, the impact he dropped him in the first round with a double leg kick, kicked him in the leg, and then kicked him in the leg again, and literally took his legs out from under him and dropped him, and then just jumped on top of him and mauled him for the rest of that round. So he started off with leg kicks in the first minute, and then within the second minute or whatever, had dropped him, third minute, dropped him with a double leg kick, and then just mauled him for the rest of the round. And let me just say,
Dominated.
Rakic, throughout the whole fight, through all 3 rounds, was able to get on top of him, top mount position, and just ground and pound him and just wear him out. And you could see by the end of the fight who was definitely the winner of the fight. Like, it was just so obvious. He dominated him from start to finish. Anthony Smith really, really upset with himself after the fight, saying, you know, where is he at in his career, sort of thing. He doesn't know. I think he's lost his last 2 fights.
Yeah.
Who knows what happens? Interesting thing is, it's in the light heavyweight division. Obviously, we know John Bon Jones vacated the titles, moving up to heavyweight, so that title's vacant. Alexander Rakic, that sees him actually jump up to 5th on the ranking, so he's in the top 5.
Wow.
Massive win for him. Anthony Smith drops him down to 8th. Yeah, Smith.
There you go.
2 losses, but not just losses that were tough decisions. One
Just
by an absolute domination, destroyed, and the previous loss by a knockout. You can't get much more embarrassed than that. Needs to pick up his game, Anthony Smith.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, you got to think John Bon Jones, who he fought and he lost to, and Anthony Smith was a warrior in that fight. Obviously, John Bon Jones won the fight, but you thought there was things going good for Anthony Smith when he was able to go 5 rounds with John Jones and go to the end, and obviously Jones got the decision. But now you think, where is he at? Needs to reassess. Yeah. Rakic, on the other hand, is on the way up. The guy looks like a beast. You don't want to let him get on top of you in top mount. Let me just tell you, you need to try to keep it on his feet. But on the 100%. Feet, the guy has got power too. Really interesting fighter. I'm interested to see how he goes, pushing into the top 5. And that's it, Domma. That's it. Let me just grab the other screen up that I had here, which was to preview the next week's fights. Obviously, we'll go over the main card as I like to do. So it's UFC Fight Night, Ovrium versus Sakai. You got in the light heavyweight division, Thiago Moises versus Jalen Turner. The featherweight division, Ricky Simon versus Brian Keller. Welterweight division, Michael Pereira versus LM Imedov. The woman bantamweight division, you got Sijara Eubanks versus Carol Rosa. And the heavyweight division, this is what I'll be watching, Alexander Overeem versus Augusto Sakai. Tune in this Sunday, 10 a.m. if you are in Australia. Bang.
Bang. Very nice. All right. Thanks for that, mate. Coming up next, soccer. Oh, we're back. We've been waiting for this. Let's just go. I'm just going to fly through these really quickly.
Go on.
Transfer news. James Rodriguez to Everton. Gabriel from Lille to Arsenal. Another pickup for you. Very nice. Ivan Rakitic. Another guy leaving Barca. Going to Sevilla. Henrik Mkhitaryan leaving Arsenal. Going to my boys. AC Milan. Now.
Danny Ceballos coming back from Real Madrid on loan to Arsenal as well.
Just very nice.
That one. Also, Daniel Chilwell heading from Leicester City over to Chelsea, left back. There's been a few moves, ladies and gentlemen. But the biggest... Bellerin talks with PSG, Bellerin. Yes.
No, but that's also now potential. He could move to Juventus. They might be putting in a bid. And the other one as well, Luis Suarez leaving Barcelona. Potentially, he may have already agreed to Juventus. So he'll be partnering up with Cristiano Ronaldo and Paulo Dybala for next season, which is mint. As long as he doesn't bite anyone sauce, we'll be all right.
But ladies and gentlemen, unless you have been living under a rock, you would know what is going on at the Barcelona Football Club. The biggest and baddest transfer news that has ever come out of any club in the history of football. This shit is unbelievable, and we cannot make this up. This is reported. Domma, take it away, lady.
This,
Take it a day for the ladies and gentlemen out there.
I fire up a lot of the time, but when you're in absolute disbelief, I genuinely the money in soccer is stupid anyway.
Crazy.
It's just stupid. But this, ladies and gents, is the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my life. And if it's not the stupidest shit you've ever heard in your life, I don't know what trumps this. But if you do, please let us know, because this is ridiculous. According to Record Sport, now this has been pushed through everywhere. Bleacher Report, Fox Sports, Goal, you name it, it's been pushed through. Allegedly, Lionel Messi has agreed to terms to join City. Now, before I get into that, if you listened to us last week, I'm just going to refresh your memory really quickly. He has a $700 million release clause. So
Euros, that's Euros as well.
Euros. If Man City pays that, then he leaves for free. Right? And we're just like, all right, he's going to sign a 280 million euro contract. This is going to be crazy because there's talks, 280 million, and they're going to give some players to Barcelona. That was the talks. Potentially Gabriel Jesus and a couple of other guys. It's like, okay, fine. Understandable. Talks are that clause has now been void. All right, that's allegedly. That's Messi's camp. Are like, oh no, we faxed in this thing because of COVID. It's not in the clause anymore. It's all bullshit. But it's gone. That's fine. So now it's a free transfer. So Man City,
the greatest free transfer of all time.
It's a free transfer, but they've got to pay him. So they're going to give him a deal now. So he's going to go there for nothing. So Barca's going to get nothing. Which we still believe here. That's a load of crap. Barca will get something from Man City. I don't see that clause getting waived. But anyway.
Look, so also read a report that they were happy to accept a fee of 280 million or something around that number, 300 million. So I think that's a lot better than 700. Thank you. The guy is 33, Domma. The guy is 33.
Yeah, okay, let's get into that. The guy's 33. This guy's he's 33, and he's getting offered.
Listen to these numbers, ladies and gents. Brace yourselves.
He's 33 years old, and he's getting offered. Allegedly, he's agreed to. Drum roll. 5 years. 5 years. 3 at Manchester City. So he'll be 36. Then when he's 37 and 38, he's going to go play for New York City Football Club in the MLS. But it's a 5-year, 700 million euro deal, which in Australian dollars is $1.14 billion over 5 years. Is this not the stupidest shit you've ever heard in your life? What? It makes Messi the highest paid individual player in the history of the sport. No shit, it makes him the highest paid player in the sport.
Oh my God.
700 million euros.
Guy's kicking around a ball covered in pigskin, mate.
What? It's just the most mind-boggling and stupidest crap I've ever heard in my life. I'll read this to you. It's 14,200 euros an hour, so $25,800. It's 341,000 euros, $620,000 per day. Mate, there's guys in the Premier League. Mesut Ozil was on 285,000 a week, and he's like the highest paid in the Premier League. That's a week. He gets 341,000 in a day. 24.1 million. 2.4 million, which is $4.37 million a week, and he gets 10.48 million euros and which equates to 18.9, so $19 million a month. Which equates,
ladies and gentlemen,
to $228 million a year.
Regardless, right? How can they give this guy 700 million over 5 years?
Nah, this has to be this has to be misreporting, surely. If this actually happens,
Do they
I
still
can
get
assure-
done for financial fair play?
Oh, mate, they can. I said this last week, mate. There's been no financial fair play, anything, because the Premier League will be like, if Messi's coming here, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. They'll be like, it's great for anything. TV rights, merchandise. Like I said, every home and away game that they play, whether he's going to Burnley or Watford or at an away game, there's going to be people hanging from the roofs trying to bloody climb over fences to go watch this guy play. They're going to be packed.
You know what, Domma? I don't care. I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to see Messi in the Premier League, and I want him to prove us wrong, and I want his legacy to be on the line because he has, like he said, Domma, like we said previous weeks, the bloke has left the club when it's in its dumps. Ronaldo, on the other hand, left all clubs at their pinnacle. This guy has to come here and win.
Oh, how is it 700 million euros?
Look, I don't know, Domma. I don't really know. I heard those. Nothing's 100% confirmed, ladies and gentlemen. Just put that out there. This is just reported that they've agreed on some sort of terms. But now it's up to, obviously, Messi hasn't reported to COVID testing and training.
Oh, he's done there. He's gone. He's leaving 100%. He's gone.
He's going to leave. It's just a matter about where he's got to go or what's going to happen. Done. We can only see
exactly. Whether he's there or not, he's definitely leaving Barcelona. He's
definitely leaving Barcelona. Sorry to all you Barca fans out there, but
million. I'll tell you what. This is a perfect transition because I tell you what, Sauce, if we had 700 million euros, I tell you what, in Hobby Talk, we'd buy a lot of cards for 700 million euros. I can tell you that much for $1 billion. Well, that's our news for the soccer. I tell you what, like we said last week, watch this space. There's nothing to even report. I'll report on. I'm lost for words. I don't even know what to say anymore. It's just ridiculous. It's just silly. 700 million. I've said it 20 times now in this segment. 700 million euros.
It's ridiculous numbers, though, man. You know what? I'm not really surprised. Like I said, that oil money talk, mate.
It's gone to the richest club.
That oil money talk.
They've got the purse. Give us a bit of it. Give a bit of dollar. That's your thing now. Give us
that dollar. That dollar.
That's it. That's Messi.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we are rolling on. We'll be back with Hobby Talk.
All right, we are back. We're excited for this. It's been good. We're an hour 10 in, and we can spend a bit of time on Hobby Talk. Yeah, this is great. A bit of stuff if you haven't caught it in the week before we start getting into a bit more of a discussion around a few things. Steve Aoki's House of Cards live stream happened on the weekend, so another big celebrity's come into the hobby now, really pumping it up and pushing it more out exposure. There. So expect it to explode a bit more. So you got Gary Vee now and Steve Aoki pushing it. He did a live stream today as well. He just did a Panini box basketball, and he busted that live. He just goes live during the day and he just does whatever he wants, really. So it was good to watch. Bit different,
a little bit amateurish, if you ask me.
Yeah, it was.
Ladies and gents, although we love Steve Aoki and we're all great to have him in the hobby,
yeah,
he actually needs to educate himself a bit on some things in the hobby, what you need to be concerned about. He did say he was a novice, but also I'll leave that up to the other blokes there. Like, I tell you, sports that's there, he's not a novice. He should know what's going on.
Exactly. And they had StockX there as well. So it was a bit of, if you mind you, like, I understand Steve Aoki's a celebrity, but it was a bit of a product placement having StockX there and
elite product placement, obviously, to get some clout. But that's the game that we're in.
That's the game. Exactly right.
Good marketing by some of those people. Always good to get more exposure to the hobby.
You do what's good for business, mate. And
but watching that live stream, Domma, has given us an idea for this Hobby Talk, hasn't it? Definitely. And that was to bring on a bit of, albeit this has probably been covered a hell of a lot of times, but we're just going to bring it to our audience and just inform you a bit of 101 hobby stuff that everyone should know
Yeah,
what they're doing, especially handling cards, understanding grading companies, understanding how these things affect cards, and just get a general feel and understanding of what are the basic things that you should know that are going to help you grow yourself in the hobby.
definitely. Few things really, which is a bit tough. We'll actually discuss them before we came on the pod. Is it's becoming quite difficult now as an entry level to get into the market because prices are so like they've just exploded now. Like to go buy a box, it's just
We're talking
crazy.
about if you want to buy and rip some product, which is part of the hobby, and it's supposed to be fun to be able to rip some product. But
I know it can't be fun. Like you really want to do it, and it's like $400 for a box of whatever, and it's like I can't really get into that. But then
up to 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, but the problem is, and the problem with that is, if you want people to come into your hobby, is they go, oh shit. Well, Mosaic, for example, is like, $500. We'll just say this is just an example, and they go, oh okay, I can't afford that. I'll go to Hoops. It should be a lower level product, it'll probably get it cheaper. But then that's like $350, for example. They're like, I still can't pay that. Oh, I'll go lower than that. Well, you're not getting anything lower than that. And they're like, oh shit. But then they don't have a general basis of starting for the hobby, because then they go, oh, okay, I'll go buy Zions. And they're like, I got $50. I should be able to buy a fair chunk of cards. And they go look at a Zion Raw and they go, oh, well, there's $30 gone and $20. I can't really get anyone else that's decent because like the rookie cards are ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is why
it's tough games. And we're talking about the basketball. We're obviously talking about basketball. And this is why I've seen a few people over here go towards some of the baseball products and some of the NFL products because they're a little bit cheaper than the basketball stuff. Which is really, really hot in Australia. But it's really hard to buy. I'm all for. I don't buy inflated box prices. I just don't. If I get it at retail and I'm able to get it at retail, I'll bust some and I'll sell some to cover what I've busted. And essentially, it's just me opening packs for free. But on that note, I will say I opened 4 boxes of Optic retail and got jack shit. My best card was a DeAndre Hunter auto out of the 4 boxes. Did not get one Zion, one jar. I think the other rookie auto that I got was an Alan Smilage, which was some D-leaguer for Golden State. So, I mean, that's the reality of it, and that's why I refuse to buy the inflated prices, because you buy it at those inflated prices, and you literally... See, at least me, I bought... I was able to get the boxes at $160 each, retail. I also sold... I think I ended up with 6 boxes. I sold 2 of those boxes for like $360 and then opened 4. So I was able to, cover some of my costs and losses, and I'm sort of breaking out even. But that's why now some of the products and stuff that I've been able to get at retail, I've just held on to it. And I've tried to sell it a few times. Some people don't want to buy the inflated prices.
Yeah.
But I don't want to also risk opening it, because you get sometimes, like I've seen, you get stuck with ridiculous stuff. But one thing I won't do is I won't break it. I'd rather open it than turning into a break, because you know how I feel about all these new breakers coming onto the scene, Domma, which is, potentially...
It's literally a side hustle and a quick, like, financial gain. A lot of it is. But some are legitimate. Some
are legitimate and things like that, but
some are just like, quick bark bang, let's just do it and whatever. And it's the biggest rip, because then that's ruining actual companies that want to do box breaks.
Yeah, the problem is some of these breakers that are stuff, they don't have a retail contact, so they're not getting the stuff
at correct
retail prices. They're buying inflated prices, then putting a markup on top of that, and putting that onto consumers who now essentially are becoming fifth in line to buying that product. And by the time you're the 5th person in the line, there's always someone that's obviously there's 4 people that are taking a cut off that. So they're always going to add their little bit. and it all adds up onto the consumer.
100%.
Albeit, like, I'm for breakers. I actually like
100%.
breakers, but I like the breakers that are able to get their stuff at retail prices, give it to their consumers at a reasonable price, and break the product at a reasonable price, and not these inflated, ridiculous prices, which, in my opinion, are hurting. And I just don't like seeing how now you've got products like Conicals and Illusions coming out that are now at the same price point as what Prism was at the same relative time. And Prism's supposed to be the bee's knees, or even Optic, man. Like, at least Optic was a slow rise. Now it's like, as soon as the day it's out, within 1 day, it's already 4 or 5 times the price. Whereas before it was like a gradual increase. It was sort of like, people were selling them for a reasonable price at the start. Buy a blaster for 45, maybe sell it for 90, 95, 100. Now it's like a blaster comes out 45 and straight away 150 or 200.
There's a couple of places you can go as well. It's if you are based in Australia. In America, obviously, there's so many different hobby stores and stuff, and that run breaks. So this comes to one of the points. So research is essential. But if you are based in Australia and you are keen on doing breaks, and whether it's NFL or basketball or whatnot, just have a look at. There's a couple of these Cherry Collectibles. There's West Oz Cards, EJ Collectibles, Box Break. So there's a couple here in Australia that are really good, and you can have a look at and try and get in there. We suggest, like, personally us, this is like what we prefer. You can go.
Also, another one I'll mention, Domma, is late night breaks.
Late night breaks, there you go, yep. But there's a couple where, the two of us, we prefer more going into like pre-order case breaks rather than like a box break, because you might get nothing in that. Like, we think, obviously, in a case, there's case hits in there, and the chances are
and unfortunately, like, some of these,
but personal preference when it comes to it.
And this is where some of the beef I have with the breakers. Like, you get breakers that will buy the inflated box price at a certain point. Now, that box goes up, right? Now, as that box goes up, does the breaker, say the breaker buys that box that was originally a retail box with, 20 packs of cards in it. He bought it for, retail goes for 160. He bought it for 250. Right?
Yeah.
Now that retail box on the secondary market is now going for 700, right?
Yeah.
Is he breaking that product at, say, $500 and doubling his margin, or is he breaking that at 700? He's breaking that at 700, because that's the market price, and that's what he feels he should be breaking at. That's where I think it's wrong, and that's where I think you should be only trying to break with guys that get
legitimate,
able to
have a reputation,
and get retail product. Because if you get into their breaks early enough, you can actually find yourself in breaks where it's a reasonable price, where you're getting a decent amount for your money. That's like me. I was able to get into a couple of half-case breaks. I was able to get Miami Heat 2 times, and I bought them in both half. So it was half the case. I don't know exactly how much is in the case. I think it's six boxes. So it was 12 boxes. And this is hobby boxes, This isn't retail boxes and stuff. This is hobby boxes. So I was able to get into a whole case of hobby boxes. So that's 12 boxes. And I had Miami Heat. I think it cost me about $300. So you do the math. It's works out to whatever it was. But you've got more chance of actually hitting a card. Like, you've got so much more chance of
100%.
You've got Miami Heat for 12 hobby boxes. I actually cleaned up. You've seen the cards. I'm going to put these up on my social. So I'll put them up this week, actually. I write a note down to put the cards up. I can show everyone some of the hits that I was able to get in the break. But, guys, just be smarter. Don't get suckered into these guys and their breaks. Stop buying into these inflated breaks, because you're not helping the cause by filling these breaks. Like, I understand everyone wants the cards, but by filling these rubbish breaks of products like Chronicles and Illusions and stuff that's
more people are just going to...
It's just going to keep inflating the market.
And it makes more people come on and think, I can be a box breaker.
Yeah.
The other thing, you go, look at this. Bloody hell, I can do this. Oh, okay.
I'm saying go to your reputable sources that actually have a connect that get product for decent price and don't inflated prices.
And if we haven't mentioned any, there's so many out there, but there's a whole bunch of reputable ones. We're just mentioning some ones that we know here in Australia, but that is, I reckon, rule one of literally like.
Not to
card
mention
collecting.
some of those reputable ones too actually buy some of the inflated price stuff because they've got to keep
That's
the
the
breaks
problem.
going through.
It
But
hurts them too. But
it
that's the
hurts
game,
everyone. At
unfortunately.
some point,
Yeah,
they have to still have product to break. So they start
correct.
trying to buy some of this stuff. But I think if the hobby as a whole took a stance and didn't buy into these inflated prices, then that's it. And also some of these people that are ordering out zings and ordering like, you know, pre-ordering on Zing like 20 blaster boxes, 30 blaster boxes, you are also the problem. Never order that much. Like, I wasn't even able to get blaster boxes this time. I think I was able to get fat packs. I ordered 10, and I'm opening them because I actually don't mind the Chronicles product. Some people could like to bash it, but I don't mind it. It's stacked with rookies, actually, Dom, so potential to actually get some rookies in there that you can grade.
I might look at that.
And flip, so...
I might look at that. But yeah, there's heaps, and we mentioned a couple last.
We've mentioned a few,
guys,
and we will mention. We'll leave those.
We'll make sure we will put them on our socials this week.
We'll put them on our socials.
Just past us, but we also gave you a bit of an insight into like some of our collection as well throughout the week. But research is the key.
Yeah.
So research is the key. So just to give a good example, when you do research for prices and stuff, 130 points really good. They've got an eBay sales guide, which is awesome, and then obviously Card Ladder are great as well. I did a bit of a post on our socials about this Luca. Where are we? Focus there. Yeah, that Luca there, Prism rookie. That's also proof to show that we're not bullshitting you. We actually have these cards, so we're not just grabbing some rubbish and posting it on our socials. We actually do collect the cards. We're not trying to fool you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're just not just screenshotting some other bloke's card and putting it up there. Thank you.
Exactly right.
We possess the card.
Exactly right. But those Card Ladder and 130 point are really good. It's a good starting point. And also, not to pump up the show, but if you've listened to Sauceys Smokey and you actually jump on some of those cards, if you're in the flipping business, Saucy and I actually had a discussion about this. He kind of hinted at it last week, but if you actually started jumping on those cards when he said them, they're all going up. So if you're in the flipping business, you would have made a mint by now.
Ladies and gentlemen, one card, and I'll bring it back. One card that actually has stayed, and I'm mystified how this is the case, is this Kobe Bryant. I'm holding up to the screen, ladies and gentlemen, for all the audio listeners out there. Kobe Bryant, NBA Hoops, BGS 9.5.
Rookie card.
Yeah. Rookie card, thank you. And the raw ones of these are still selling today for $20. I actually put a post up on my socials drilling the hobby, saying, you know, you're paying the same price for a Zion NBA Hoops rookie as you are for Kobe Bryant. That's absolutely criminal.
Baffling, really.
And you're paying 4 times the amount for a Luka Doncic, a guy who just got bounced out in the first round of the finals, playoffs, and hasn't accomplished anything, ladies and gentlemen. And
we put up big numbers. That's what people like. But I understand Luka's a bit of an anomaly. I know
Luka's a bit of an anomaly. Like, he's going to be a great player. But it's just where I bring it back to accomplishments have to stand for something. And that card is still super undervalued. So if you're listening to this, ladies and gentlemen, go buy yourself Kobe Bryant, NBA Hoops, rookie card.
Let's just put it this way.
It's the same. It's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same logo. And I'll just bring it back, Dom. Hoops has essentially the most history in the hobby because it's the same logo that's on the card from 1996 to 2020. There's not many cards out there that can say that. All right, the brand of the card has changed because it used to be Skybox back in the day. But the actual logo on the front, NBA Hoops that it says, it's the exact same logo.
I probably got one in here somewhere. I'll try and find one while we actually... Here we go. That's a hoop. Oh, that's a Kobe Hoops. These are like that's just my personal collection, like guys that I like. But
so guys,
I'll try and find one.
We just want to, we say we want to talk about this one-on-one sort of things, and one other thing what I'll say is handle your cards with care. Yeah, like you want to be making sure you get yourself your penny sleeves, which is just your plastic sleeves, and your top loaders. So obviously I'll show up to the screen my card that we posted up on our spotlight, my LeBron James Optic 2018 purple prism. And
Trying to find
That's in a top loader. That's in
Definitely
a
got a
top
shack.
loader, plastic top loader to protect the card. You want to make sure you've got all this stuff, especially if you're opening boxes. You want to make sure you've got these stuff ready to go and put it in there straight away, so you're protecting the card. It's pivotal, just in case you ever want to resell the card or get the card graded or go down that road, that you're keeping it in best condition, because no one likes to get damaged cards.
Correct.
Yeah, so that's a definitely important thing. Another note that we will mention is, obviously, we talk a lot about you've got your raw cards and your graded cards. So obviously, I showed my graded Kobe Bryant rookie card. It's in a slab. You got SGC, BGS, and PSA are the main three.
Well, let's be honest. Those are the three. Just trust those three in the hobby. They're the big three. You can venture out to other ones, but
yeah, there are other ones out there, but they're the main three.
Just stick with the big three for now until the next one rises.
We call them the big three. Regarded in the hobby, I'm just going to say PSA cards go for the most. BGS follow behind that, and then SGC. I'm of the view I don't really give a shit which grading company it is out of those three.
It's graded.
I'm buying any of those graded companies, and that's because I've seen numerous posts and evidence that every grading company has their flaws, because at the end of the day, all the grading companies, it's judged by another human, and no human can do something 100% correctly in regards to grading a card, because you can miss stuff. You can, one day you might see something, one day you might not. There's countless stories of people sending a card in, it getting a 9, resending it in, it getting an 8, resending it in, it getting a 9, and you just keep going, and then they'll get a 10 eventually, and they'll leave it at the 10. So, it's ridiculous. I don't really give a shit, but grading cards and buying graded cards, I would just be trying to stick to those three. I do buy some other companies, and that's only if I see a really tough card that's got a tough gem rate, meaning that it's hard to grade, like this Kobe card that's actually got a gem rate of 15%, meaning that, out of 100 cards that get sent in, only 15 of them get a 9.5 and above. If you see, there was one today, I was nearly going to buy it, it was in another case. I was going to buy it because that's a really hard to gem card. And it's been kept in a case the whole time, regardless of what the case is. And it got graded a 10 by that other company, then it must have been half decent. So there's potential that if I get that card, it's going to be,
ladies and gentlemen,
it's going to be in decent condition, and I would have probably potentially sent it. I lost the auction and I didn't win it, but I'm not too fussed. I've stacked up on this card regardless. So, but I would have resubmitted that to BGS or one of the other companies and got that regraded. So, that's another little tactic that you can do, is buy another graded card from another company, hoping that it's been protected decent. And I'll mainly focus on ones that are hard to gems, because as I've mentioned earlier, but they're your main three grading companies. You want to be sticking to those ones, in my opinion.
Yep. Well, like we said, we're giving you some tips. Research is one of them, but you can just listen to Sauceys Encyclopedia over he's done. But see, this is the thing. We know what we know to a degree because we've sat down and done research on it. That's the whole thing. If you just go in blindly and just go, I'm going to buy this, and go, I want this raw card and that raw card because I'm going to grade it, I'm going to flip it, and then you get it in the cornering shit house, the centering shit house.
And Dom, this is what I've learned, and I've learned just being in the hobby is, I'd buy a lot of raw cards, and you buy them, and the amount of raw cards I've been through, there's just, and there's so many dishonest people out there. They don't want to tell you there's a scratch on the card. They don't want to tell you this.
No.
And the thing is, because everyone wants to grade the card, because grading obviously amplifies the value of your card. It's just a smarter play to do. If you've got the time, you've got the ability to have that capital tied up, that capital money tied up, obviously the investment in the card and then the investment in the grading service, and because the gradings take somewhere between 4 to 6 months, especially living here in Australia. Your money's tied up for quite a while, right? if you've got the ability and you want to be able to flip some of those graded cards, buy them all, grade them, flip some of them, and then build up the money so then you can reinvest that money and buy one good card. That's my goal. My goal is to flip all these cards and buy one solid good card of a player that I love. And it'll probably be like LeBron or Kobe, and it'll be like, going after like a big card of one of those guys or a big auto or something, even if it's not a rookie card, just a big, nice Kobe auto or something like that. That's what I aim to get out of the hobby. Yeah, like I don't want to be getting my hard-earned cash that I'm working for and saving up that and then just buying a Kobe thing for like 5,000 when you could potentially start with 1,000, flip a bunch of cards and then have 5,000, and then essentially you've bought that Kobe card for 1,000. You get what I'm saying? So that's the way you look at it. And then eventually everything on top of that, as that card goes up in value over time, is profit on your 1,000. Yeah. So that's the way I look at it. So it's good. Good.
Different people have different ways of doing it.
Different ways of doing it, man. And people want to get on the flippers, but
collecting.
If you're in this to just like flip, I get it. Like it can be somewhat of a business, but I hope at some point, like me, I came to like flip, but then I was like, you know what? I really do like ripping packs and collecting.
It's fun. It's so much fun.
And it just brought me back to my childhood. Like I was never into sports cards, but I was super, super into Yu-Gi-Oh cards, super, super into Pokemon cards. And obviously as I've gotten older, I like to have a bit of a punt. I love watching sports, love my basketball. So I just loved everything about this. And I've actually known about this for a long, long time because Dom's cousin has been an avid basketball card collector for many, 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 many years. And I remember him telling me about his awesome collection, and I was able to see that in person not too long ago. And let me tell you, the bloke has got one of the most elite collections I've ever seen. Maybe one day we could talk him into potentially showing off his collection so we can show people, but I'm not too sure how much he wants us to show off the collection. Yeah. He doesn't have to put his face on the camera, but we'll see how we go at some point. Later down the track.
It's one of those things. It's just, but it's collecting what you love and collecting different variants sometimes. You might be into, obviously, like we said, flipping. You might just be into collecting just one player. You might be interested in collecting certain players that are graded cards, buying cards and then grading the cards. You might be interested in collecting sets of that collection. So a Prism base set, which is, wouldn't even suggest that, but that's an example. For like getting hoops, and trying to get every Miami Heat player or every base card in that set by just searching different forums and getting in contact with people and saying, do you have this card? People like sets and put them into folders. There's so many different variables.
There's some people that literally just like collecting nice looking autos, and they'll buy any auto that they like.
Yeah, some people like
really good.
Some people like just auto cards. Some people just like patch cards. Some people like patch autos cards. Some people just like jersey cards, game worn stuff, this and that, like pieces of the floor.
Yeah, there's something that everyone can
basketball
get in
cards,
on, man.
bloody hat cards. There's so many different types. Like it's whatever you like, but our thing is like we just don't like people that come in and use and abuse the hobby because not for anything. If it died down tomorrow, like it's still going to be big. I don't see it dying down in a long time. But even if prices drop 50%, for example, all those people that came and used and abused, they're going to piss off. They don't want anything to do with the hobby, and they ruined it for so many people for that period of time. And it stopped people that wanted to get into it because they didn't have the capital to get into the market. Like,
it's a tough one. And look, I don't whinge about it. Yeah, like if I can't get product at retail, I'm not busting.
You just move on. We just move on.
I move on. I don't buy into buying overpriced boxes.
No.
If I'm unable to get it at retail or I'm unable to get into like a pre-order break, I don't break. That's just me personally. I don't like taking the gamble so much when the odds are against your favor. Would I rather pay, to be honest, some of these breaks that charge for a 3-box break, like $85 for one team, mind you, right? In a 3-box break that might be like 3 mega boxes or 3 or 4 blaster boxes, and you're getting stung $80 a spot, $79 a spot. To be
Remember
honest,
how many teams are in the NBA, ladies and gents? There's 30
right,
teams.
that's right. So it's 30 times 80 for those.
Well, not
And
all of
if
them.
you do the maths on those, a blaster box retails for 45, right? So some of the break prices that I've seen, and this is all coming around because they're buying inflated prices. They need to make their margin on that inflated price plus a bit, right? They need to make their money back plus their
And you
margin.
got shipping, your top loaders, your
Yeah, and
sleeves,
all that sort of stuff that comes in.
But that
right?
stuff is not like that's nothing when you're selling it for the second market value. Like
Yeah.
so that's what, an extra $50.
Yeah, it's tough, man. But this is what I'm saying to people: don't get caught into that trap. Don't buy into that shit. If you can't get in at a good, decent price, don't buy it because you're better off taking that $80 that you're going to spend on the break and buying a card. Just buying a good card. You can even get a graded card. Like we're about to actually give you one in the next segment in Sauceys Smokey, a graded card that you can get for less than $80. Right, that could potentially,
I'll tell you what, the card that we'll get to, I reckon it's going to get to a big value. I genuinely think, but yeah, that's pretty much our guide. We've given you some really reputable sources. We'll actually take this clip as well. We'll cut it up. We'll put it on our socials. We'll tag all those handles and stuff on our Instagram. Also forgot to mention one of the most important ones, Sauceys Collectibles. That has to, so just jump on that one. That's the most important, mate.
Don't you worry about that.
Don't worry.
Although, ladies and gentlemen, I do not break. I only sell all cards.
Yeah, he sells. But you do know you can get some quality price.
But I do have some mosaic fat packs for sale if you want some. I will.
Which we'll quickly get into that because you were going to, just briefly, he was actually going to sell them really cheap to people and no one wanted them. And now people want them and now it's worth astronomical prices. So he's like, what do you
I got the box set. I bought a whole box for $360 and I tried to sell it for like $450, just under $500. And there was another guy on eBay selling it for around about, I tried to sell it for $500. And there's another guy on eBay selling it for $450. And I was telling people, sending out on my Instagram saying, buy these boxes for $450. It's really cheap. I didn't have the money at the time to drop another $450 on the box. But I was telling people, buy these boxes. Like, these are just going to go up. Sure enough, he was selling for $450.
What's it worth,
now
mate?
If we go look up I'll look it up for you right now. And this is a mosaic basketball fat pack box.
Let's just put it this way. There's no such thing as hindsight in the hobby anymore. You automatically know once the product releases and it goes on the secondary market, he's going to double in price automatically. So if you can't get it at retail or you find someone that's selling them really cheap, then go buy the box because what's double on the secondary market at launch after a couple months triples.
Yeah,
so if you really want it,
it's now going for, last one sold for $500 Domma, and they were a bit more, so they've actually gone down. They were at 1.600, but last sold for $500 which is just 680 odd. I tried to sell the box for 500. I only wanted to make a small margin on it. I even done that with some of my other boxes.
You're still saving $180.
Right? And I even told people to go buy the box at $450, that it was a good price. If you want to break a box, this is a good price. Like $450 in terms of where the hobby's at. Like, you're really not going to get this box, which I think retail on these boxes is about $240. $250. I think I already paid inflated on this. And this is what's coming to some of the card shops. I actually bought this from Games World. They're actually catching on to how hot sports card hobby is, and they're increasing a bit of their margins because they know people are going to buy it regardless. Like when I went there originally for the Optic Blaster, they were selling for $50, and now this time when I went and got the Mosaic Blaster, when they had their last release of cards, they were selling for $65. So they already increased their prices on that, and they increased their prices on their boxes that we were getting. So it's a trickle-down effect. People are seeing they can make more money, so they're increasing their prices everywhere. But where ultimately most of it comes down to is you, as the consumer out there, getting sucked into these prices and buying up these boxes at inflated.
Don't be sheep.
Whether it be in breaks or whether it be off eBay, whether it be off me selling it at an inflated price. Hey, I'm trying to sell it at an inflated price, but hey, if people are going to buy it, I will sell it to them. And unfortunately, that's the full reality of it. But I don't.
Well, you're not going to buy something for $450 and sell it for $450.
Yes, right.
That's just human nature. But what Sauce is trying to say is he's not going to sell it for $600. He'll try and sell it cheaper. Well, certain people do that. Well, you've got to cover yourself because you want to make a bit of money because you want to put it into buying another product. But
that's exactly right. That's what I end up doing with all this money. Like I try to get my hands on some retail. I will bust some, sell some to cover my costs, and then if I can't sell it and I get stuck with it, well, guess what? I'll just do a live video on Instagram and bust it. For me, it doesn't bother me. I don't like the people that literally go in there with no intention to bust at all. And as I said, I'll go on the record. I've busted 4 boxes of optic retail this year and got jack shit. So that is the reality. And that's why I've decided not to bust my mosaic that I was able to get my hands on for retail.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, coming up next, thanks for that, mate. The most anticipated segment every week is Sauceys Smokey, so stay tuned for that. All right, Saucy. All right, mate. We got a good one this week. We'll just, before you get into it and Saucy gets in, like to give him a bit of an intro. The most undervalued market. Well, I'm not actually, no, I'll retract that because it trends exactly like the basketball market. Rookies are expensive, not as expensive as NBA rookies. Good players are expensive, not as expensive, obviously, as NBA great players. But the common denominator between the two, some are, but the common denominator between the two of them, they're vintage cards for basketball, and the NFL is what we're talking about, are so undervalued. So, Sauce, tell him the cut. Come on.
Oh, you know, I never lead it out straight with the man. I just like to read it out with some of his accomplishments because I'll bring it back when I'm talking about vintage cards and guys that have come and gone and solidified their place within their sporting code and the history of it. And the sporting code we're talking about is American football today, the NFL, right? And this guy.
Here we go. I love this.
This gentleman here in the NFL.
This is just as stupid as Messi's contract.
Has won 3 Super Bowls. He was a Super Bowl MVP in one of those Super Bowls. He's appeared in 6 Pro Bowls. He ended his career as the all-time leading passing leader for his franchise. He had the most wins in a 10-year period, in a decade. He had the most wins of any quarterback in a 10-year period, only eclipsed, I'm not sure. Eclipsed. Only eclipsed by these two names. These two names aren't two names to scoff at. So only eclipsed by Peyton Manning and the GOAT himself, Tom Brady. Right? So that's 2 great names to be mentioned with. Let me just tell you, ladies and gentlemen. And the guy I say is none other than Troy Aikman, the former quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, the most famous organization in the NFL. I don't care what you say. The Dallas Cowboys are in
America's team.
Movies. They are in movies. Jerry Jones is like a comic character. The way he handles his organizer. He's like, I call him the Vince McMahon of the NFL. You know what I mean? He's always in this stuff.
He is. He's always involved.
You know what I mean? He's always in it.
Iconic America's team. The Dallas Cowboys star is synonymous with
and we've mentioned this before,
football around the world.
We've spoken about the hobby. It does matter the market that you played in. Yeah. It helps. You know, obviously
he plays in the biggest franchise.
And we'll just bring it back to you, ladies and gentlemen. The guy won 3 Super Bowls.
He's in the Dallas Cowboys Ring of Honor as well. Like, geez.
And
Pac-12 national champion as well.
we're
college.
going to get up his stats.
Oh.
We're going to get up his prices here, ladies.
I'll read off a couple other things while you're doing that. They retired his college jersey. He's the Pac-10 Offensive Player of the Year in college. He was a Heisman Trophy finalist in college. Consensus All-American. Davey O'Brien Award. National champion in '85. Dallas Cowboys Ring of Honor. He was the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year. Yeah, Super Bowl MVP. 3 Super Bowl championships. Like, really?
He's done a lot, man.
I still don't get it. And I'll tell you, obviously, well, I'm not going to steal your thunder. You tell them what the card is, what year and brand.
Yeah, so the card we're talking about is his 1989 Score rookie card, right? Score is the company that made the card.
So the card is 31 years old.
31 years old, ladies and gentlemen. So we're just going to bring it back to every time I talk about these old cards, vintage cards, the chances that you're going to find a raw card that's going to be of of a decent grade of PSA 9 and above are very, very low. But this is where it's interesting. Like, if you've got the capital, by all means, go out there and buy a PSA 10. This data provided to us via Card Ladder. Thank you very much. The people out there at Card Ladder are doing a great job with the platform. Really enjoying using it.
The other thing we've got to remember is with old cards, especially this product, the centering for raw cards are whack.
Yeah.
Like if you look
so
at the raw
you got to
cards,
remember back though many years ago, the technology of printing was nowhere near as good as what they have today, right?
The centering is shit.
The centering, albeit the centering on some of Panini's cards this year is terrible.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
The technology was not as good, but the main factor is that it's a 31-year-old card. So to get raw cards that are going to be of the ability to grade good, it's going to be really low. I'm not too sure about how it goes about whether people have wax stored from this year or not. You don't know, but we'll just bring it back. The pop report on a PSA 10 is 1,327. So if you've got the capital and you've got the ability to be able to drop this much money on a graded card, I would suggest being able to get one of those 1,327 that are in the world. That's really not that much.
And it usually retails for about 500 US, I think.
Yeah, so the average price, so I'm just looking at the 3-month graph, and the average price is 431 US on a PSA 10, which is not too bad, around the 400 mark. Honestly, to be honest, when you go have a look at some of the rookie cards and what some of the guys nowadays are actually selling for, and when they've not 2K. Accomplished nothing or haven't accomplished anything in their career, and this guy's won 3 Super Bowls, it has to count for something. And an MVP.
Super Bowl
MVP. So that's just his PSA 10. Now, this is the card that we are focusing on. We're focusing on his PSA 9. Now, PSA 9 pop report is 4,689, right? So there are quite a few out there, but the number's still under 5,000. And when you think about it in the scheme of things and the whole hobby, it's really not that much. When you think about how many some of the cards nowadays have, that's really, really, really not that much. And even PSA 9. So the PSA 9, the average sale price is $45 US. So this card is going for, what's that? Nearly 10 times
Australian?
Yeah, so it's 10 times less than his PSA 10. But obviously we can see rise in the card overall because we just can't see how a guy of this ilk who's won 3 Super Bowls can sit at this price. So picking up an old vintage graded card, PSA 9, for anything around $50 US is a good buy. Once again, we mentioned earlier in Hobby Talk that it was going to be around the $80 mark Australian. And it is. So 50 US is, it's actually 68 on the current conversion, Australian dollars.
Mate, it's a bargain. We
It's a
both
bargain,
jumped
ladies
on
and
this.
gentlemen.
We both actually have one of these each. We secured one each last week. We went out, we saw it, we did some research. We still think that the NFL really hasn't had its moment yet. Like it's growing, but it hasn't had its moment because you got to remember that the things really exploded during this COVID time. There's been no football; it's been all basketball thrown in your face. So the NFL season is starting in a couple of weeks' time, or next week actually on Friday. So we might do a preview next week on Wednesday for the pod. But honestly, the potential hasn't been captured. And when people are going out there, like Sauce is saying, I know there's 4,000 PSA 9s, but it's a 31-year-old card. PSA 9, one of the all-time greats, selling for 50 USD, 44 USD. That is a bargain. That's his
Yeah.
rookie card. Like, go do yourself a favor. Go get a PSA 9 Patrick Mahomes card, which is like, 3 years old. It's 10 times the amount of what Troy Aikman is. Like, I know Patrick Mahomes has won a Super Bowl and he's going to be elite, but what I'm trying to say is like a 3-year-old card at a PSA 9 to a 31-year-old card at a PSA 9.
Look, I'll just leave it like this, Domma.
Yeah. No.
Kyler Murray, who is yet to play a game.
He's actually a better example than Patrick Mahomes. Like
Yet
Kyler
to
Murray's
play a
played
game.
No, he's played, but he hasn't won a Super Bowl.
Wait, so this is his second year?
Second year.
2009. Okay, second year.
Yeah,
His PSA 9 card is currently selling, last sold for $200 US. PSA 9 Prism base. You got to remember, this is Troy Aikman's only rookie card. That's his only card. You don't have all these other variations like you do nowadays. That's his rookie card.
It's technically a one-of-one of a rookie product. You go there, you get that card, and that's it. Don't go searching for another Troy Aikman. You're not going to get it. You'll have him in
rookie card.
You'll have him in a rookie in a product that's modern, because I'll put his rookie picture on a modern-day card. Or you can go get this card, which there's a reprint of. But to get that actual rookie card, you got to go back 31 years. Like, one product, 1999 score. That's where you have to go to get it.
Like, here's another one. Let's see. Let's see.
Like now, you go to.
Well, that's interesting.
Prism and this and that. It's like crazy. That's the thing I don't get.
Yeah. So, and I always bring it back to this. I always like to compare it to the players nowadays.
Yeah.
That guy has solidified his place. He's won 3 Super Bowls. There's nothing more he can do. He's done it all.
Except winning the league MVP. But whoop-de-doo, he won a Super Bowl one. But he's done everything.
Right? These young bucks that are coming in, nothing against them. This is just the hobby as a whole.
It's the hobby, yeah.
How you can pay for these guys who've accomplished nothing. And Patrick Mahomes, that's different. The guy is special. I shouldn't have used him as a. The guy's special, yeah.
He's an anomaly.
He's already won a Super Bowl, so you could say his cards are actually
somewhat worth it. You can do whatever you want with that guy, to be honest.
Right? But a guy like Kyler Murray, you can't be saying that. And even Lamar Jackson. Like, I understand I love Lamar Jackson, but what's to say as good as and explosive as there has been quarterbacks in the past, like your Cam Newton, your Mike Vicks, they never won a Super Bowl.
It's true.
You know, albeit he's an exciting quarterback.
You got to remember, rookies are just a projection of the league. Until they live up to potential, whether that potential is a Super Bowl winning MVP or an NBA championship if you're a basketball player, or an MVP or whatever it is, until they get to that caliber, you're just the run-of-the-mill quarterback that, like, you go out there and win games and try and win Super Bowls. That's your aim. Like, you're just a guy that tried and you had opportunities to, but you didn't. You can still be a great quarterback. Like, look at guys like Dan Marino. He's never won a Super Bowl, but he's elite. But what we're trying to say is he was accomplished over his whole career. We're talking about guys, like, they've done nothing except if you Patrick Mahomes. You're the anomaly. You won a Super Bowl in your third year, I'm pretty sure. Like, Kyler Murray, I don't know. I still don't get how that card goes for more than Troy Aikman. But
Yeah,
anyway.
it's just all the guys living in the hype now, I guess.
Call us stupid, or just call us smart, because we're giving you another Smokey that you can go out and get. And if you are into flipping, like what we plan on doing, like a bit of a background. Well, me personally, I'm not going to speak for Saucy, but myself, I'm actually keeping my one. I'm not going to flip it because I actually like Troy Aikman. But if I can get my hands
he's
on
very
another
prominent
one,
on the American sports networks. He's in NFL coverage.
He's an analyst. Yeah, he's an analyst. Like that's what I'm going to do is literally get another one or another two. If I can't afford, I'll get 5 of them, mate. And those 5 are the ones that I'm going to make my profit on. I actually am going to keep one. They're all PSA 9s in the end of the day, so they're all as good as each other.
Look, I keep saying it. Fine 9. People are so I see people over and over again paying for raw cards when you literally can put in a few extra dollars, not a few extra dollars, but an extra $20, $30, $40 and get the graded card.
Well, it costs you that much to get it graded if you're here.
Yeah, so and I've nearly gotten to the point, Domma, I'm really, really, really not buying too many raw cards unless it's like a big lot deal where I'm getting a whole bunch of cards for X amount of dollars. I'll pick and choose a few here, but I'm really, really, especially older cards, I've found anything that I bought old has pretty much been ungradable. So my advice is old stuff, if you can target the graded cards don't worry if it's not a 10 because the hobby growing and it's just continually more people getting interested. 9s are decent. If you don't have the capital to get the 9 and you just want to get the card, hey, PSA 8s, they are undervalued at the moment. I think, you can even get some for like $20. I actually missed one just yesterday or the day before. It was like a Michael Jordan base PSA 8 card. And it was like, I think it went for like 10 US, right? And I was like, man, it costs more just to grade the card.
Just remember that once all the 10s of these cards go up and they're astronomical and people can't afford them, they're going to look at the 9s, and then the increase in the 9s are going to go up to a point. This is where the market's at, to the point where 9s are eventually going to get to a spot that they're not going to be affordable.
Yeah.
And then they're going to drop to 8.5.
Albeit we need to be careful because there's been a few actually interesting things that have gone through in the hobby about some of these base 9 PSA 9s going up on an increasingly large spike and now coming back down. But I think obviously they were overvalued at some of the prices that they were getting sold at. But at this price for this card, $50 US, where you can get them between $50 to $60 US, I genuinely can't see how this card is at least 120 to 150, potentially more, as the PSA 10 picks up and gets up around the 800 to 900.
Yeah, 100%.
I think the PSA 10 deserves to be up around the $1,000 a card mark. A guy that's won 3 Super Bowls.
I'll be honest with you. I reckon the PSA 10 should be close to $2,000.
Yeah.
For a 31-year-old card, it's his only rookie card. All the accomplishments he's got, it should be around 2,000 plus.
Yeah. I mean, guys,
seriously,
Kyler Murray's card is 4 times the amount, and he's done jack shit in his career. Not to say that he's not going to do anything, but hey, up until this point, he's done nothing, and his card's 4 times more. How can you be paying that much? What happens if Kyler Murray ends his career never winning a Super Bowl, and his card's still more than Troy Aikman, who's won 3 Super Bowls? That's just criminal. It can't be. Like, there has to be some disparity in the hobby, ladies and gentlemen, and that's where it is, and that's what I've identified, and I keep telling you, buy vintage.
That's Sauceys Smokey. Bang.
That's my Smokey, ladies and gentlemen.
Very nice. We are done and dusted for another week, big fella.
Beautiful.
We're looking forward to it.
Bang on the 2 hours. I like it. Not bang on, but just slightly over.
Well, we're going to be looking out very closely. There's a few things you should all keep your eyes out on too. Obviously, follow our tips that we gave you in Hobby Talk, but keep an eye on Lionel Messi. Game 7 tomorrow. let's just put it this way: double coverage may have a few surprises for some people over the socials now, mate. In the net, could be some post-game review stuff coming out. A few clips here and there, a bit more content, a bit more shit talking. As whether you like it or not, well, you're gonna have to put up with it. So it's been your boy Dom with your boy Saucy. Keep loving, living, and breathing sports. It's been double coverage. Peace out.
Peace out, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcasting app. Also, if you could please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, that would be awesome. Don't forget to follow us on socials at DBLcoverage_ on both Instagram and Twitter to join in with your opinions.